Over-explaining can feel polite, responsible, and mature. But sometimes, it is not communication. It is fear wearing a nice voice. You explain your no. You defend your feelings. You justify your choices. You give long reasons for simple decisions. And after all that explaining, you may still feel misunderstood, judged, or emotionally tired. The painful part is this. You may not be explaining because the situation needs more clarity. You may be explaining because you are trying to feel safe. Today, we are going to look at 7 simple ways to stop explaining yourself too much. And way number 5 is uncomfortable because it asks you to accept that not everyone will understand you, even when you explain yourself perfectly. Before we begin, please remember this. This video is for general education and self-reflection only. It is not professional psychological, psychiatric, medical, legal, or therapeutic advice. If your emotional distress feels serious, overwhelming, unsafe, or difficult to manage, please speak with a licensed mental health professional or contact local emergency support. Now let us start with the big idea. Explaining is not always bad. Clear communication is healthy. Honest explanation can prevent confusion. A thoughtful reason can show respect. But over-explaining is different. Over-explaining often sounds like clarity on the outside, but feels like anxiety on the inside. You may notice it when you say no and immediately give 5 reasons. You may notice it when you share a feeling and then apologize for having it. You may notice it when you make a simple choice and then defend it like you are on trial. You may notice it when someone looks disappointed and you suddenly start talking too much. After 40, many people begin to see this pattern more clearly. You realize that peace is not only about being understood by everyone. Peace is also about trusting yourself after you speak. Way number 1 is to pause before explaining. This sounds simple, but it can change the whole conversation. Over-explaining often happens quickly. Someone asks a question. Someone looks confused. Someone seems disappointed. Someone challenges your decision. And your mouth starts working before your self-respect has time to arrive. The pause gives you space. It lets you ask, what is actually needed here? Do I need to explain? Do I need to clarify? Do I need to set a boundary? Or am I about to defend myself because I feel uncomfortable? A pause can be one breath. It can be a sip of water. It can be a quiet moment before answering. It can be a sentence like, let me think about that. The pause reminds you that you do not have to fill every uncomfortable silence. Sometimes silence is not danger. Sometimes silence is just space. Way number 2 is to separate clarity from permission. This is very important. Sometimes you explain because you want someone to understand. That is clarity. But sometimes you explain because you want someone to approve, agree, or give you permission to have your own boundary. That is different. For example, you might say, I cannot come this weekend because I need rest. That is clarity. But then you may keep going. I have been really tired. Work has been stressful. I know I said yes before. I hope you are not upset. I really wanted to come. I feel bad. Maybe next time. At some point, the explanation becomes a request for emotional permission. You are trying to make the other person comfortable with your limit before you allow yourself to have it. A helpful question is this: am I explaining to be clear, or am I explaining to be approved? You are allowed to be clear without asking someone to emotionally approve your limit. Way number 3 is to use short, honest sentences. Short does not mean rude. Short does not mean cold. Short means clear. Many people over-explain because they do not trust simple sentences. But simple sentences can be respectful. I cannot make it today. That does not work for me. I need more time. I am not available tonight. I understand, but my answer is still no. I hear you, and I need to think before I respond. I am not comfortable with that. These sentences may feel too small at first. You may want to add a long explanation afterward. But try letting the sentence stand. A strong sentence does not need to be heavy. It only needs to be true. If someone asks a sincere follow-up question, you can answer calmly. But you do not need to build a whole courtroom defense around every choice. Way number 4 is to stop defending every no. This is where many kind people struggle. They think a no must come with a complete report. They think a no must be justified enough that nobody can argue with it. But some people will argue no matter how carefully you explain. They will find one weak point. They will question your reason. They will compare your choice to another time. They will make you feel like your boundary is only valid if they agree with it. That is exhausting. A no does not need to become a debate every time. Sometimes the clearest boundary is calm repetition. I understand. I still cannot do that. I know this is disappointing. My answer is still no. I hear you. I am not available. This is not about being harsh. It is about not turning your limit into a negotiation when it was meant to be a boundary. You can be kind and still be firm. You can care about someone's disappointment without changing your truth. Way number 5 is to allow some misunderstanding. This may be the hardest one. Over-explaining often comes from the fear of being misunderstood. You want them to know you are not selfish, not rude, not careless, not dramatic, not difficult, not unkind. So you explain and explain, hoping they will finally see your heart clearly. But here is the truth. Some people will misunderstand you because they lack the full context. Some will misunderstand you because they are disappointed. Some will misunderstand you because your boundary affects what they wanted. Some will misunderstand you because they are committed to their own version of the story. And some may understand you perfectly, but still not like your answer. That does not mean you failed. It means being understood by everyone is not something you can fully control. A helpful question is this: can I survive being misunderstood without abandoning myself? This does not mean you stop caring about communication. It means you stop sacrificing your peace to manage every possible interpretation. Way number 6 is to match the explanation to the relationship. Not everyone needs the same level of access to your inner world. A trusted friend may deserve a deeper explanation. A close partner may need honest conversation. A family member may need clarity. A coworker may only need the practical answer. A casual acquaintance may not need your full emotional history. Over-explaining often happens when you give intimate explanations to people who have not earned that level of access. You explain your exhaustion to someone who only wanted your availability. You explain your pain to someone who usually dismisses it. You explain your decision to someone who is not affected by it. You explain your private life to someone who only asked a simple question. A helpful question is this: what level of explanation does this relationship actually require? Some people need honesty. Some need a brief update. Some need a clear boundary. Some need no further explanation at all. Protecting your peace means choosing how much of yourself to share, and with whom. Way number 7 is to choose self-respect after you speak. This is the part many people forget. They finally say the clear sentence. Then afterward, they panic. Was I too harsh? Should I text again? Should I explain more? Should I soften it? Should I make sure they are not upset? Should I take it back? This is where over-explaining tries to return. Not during the conversation, but after it. The mind wants to repair the discomfort by adding more words. But sometimes, the work is not to explain more. The work is to sit with the discomfort and remind yourself that clarity is allowed. You can say, I spoke respectfully. I told the truth. I do not need to keep defending myself. I can let the other person have their reaction. I can be kind without chasing approval. Self-respect after speaking is a practice. It may feel unfamiliar at first, but every time you let a clear sentence stand, you teach yourself that your voice is safe with you. Now let us bring the 7 ways together. Way number 1 is to pause before explaining. Way number 2 is to separate clarity from permission. Way number 3 is to use short, honest sentences. Way number 4 is to stop defending every no. Way number 5 is to allow some misunderstanding. Way number 6 is to match the explanation to the relationship. Way number 7 is to choose self-respect after you speak. If you want a simple communication checklist, try this. Before explaining, pause. Ask whether you are offering clarity or asking for permission. Use one short, honest sentence. Let your no stay simple. Allow someone to misunderstand without chasing them. Share more only with people who have earned deeper access. And after you speak, do not punish yourself for being clear. You do not need to become cold. You do not need to become silent. You do not need to stop caring. But you do need to stop treating every boundary like a legal case. You are allowed to be understood by the right people and misunderstood by the wrong ones. You are allowed to speak clearly without giving away all your energy. You are allowed to protect your peace with fewer words. Before you make any major emotional, relationship, medical, legal, or mental health decision, please remember that this video is for general education only. It is not professional psychological, psychiatric, medical, legal, or therapeutic advice. If you are experiencing serious emotional distress, please speak with a licensed mental health professional or contact local emergency support. If this video was helpful, subscribe to Golden Wisdom TV for practical psychology, emotional wisdom, and peaceful life lessons after 40. In the next video, we will look at 5 things you should stop taking personally.